sort of know how much storage you need this year or may need potentially, right? I think with AI, people just don't know. So they're kind of turning on the faucet and just letting things run. And then they're just surprised at how much water has been consumed or tokens have been consumed in this case.
Welcome back to Business Disruptions in Tech. As always, I'm your host, Howard Holton, and we are here at Google Next 2026, and I'm with Felderi Santiago, the VP of Solutions Engineering for Kong. How you doing, Fel?
I'm doing all right.
So I'm doing great. I mean, I'm inside. We got air conditioning. The fridge is full, which is rare for a Vegas hotel, right?
Yes.
And you know, it's not DEF CON, so it's not 118 degrees outside.
Picked a good time to come to Vegas.
Right? It's great. Vegas in April is like, I actually do understand why someone pitched a tent here.
Yes.
Yes. So how about you? Where are you in from?
I'm from Phoenix, originally from New York, been in Phoenix about 5 years. So short flight this morning to be with you today.
Oh yeah, what is it, like 45 minutes or something? It's like up and down.
It's literally like 50-minute flight.
Do they just roll this cans of soda down the aisle for the drink service?
It's funny enough, you actually see them rushing, like they're trying to get through everybody just to we have to get everybody a drink, So you see them rushing and try to get everybody serviced.
That's awesome. Not that I plan on asking the question, but
yeah.
Have you heard of JSX or flown JSX?
So yes, don't tell my friends at Kong, but I did fly JSX, not this time, but for last reInvent, I flew Scottsdale to JSX Scottsdale here,
right?
And I literally walked from the terminal.
Oh yeah,
to Mandalay Bay. So it's actually, I highly recommend it if that's an option for you.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. It's
awesome.
It seems to fit right between like a coach and first class ticket. So it's not ridiculous.
Yes.
There's like 32 seats. I mean, I didn't mean to turn this into an ad for them, but I love I go to Centennial Airport. You walk on the plane, you walk off, your bags are right there. You just walk right out.
That experience of just getting there and then just where's security? And there is no security, but a metal detector.
Right.
Like if you were going to a high school these days and you literally get on the plane and just off you go. It's a great service.
It's awesome. I mean, the reality is the security is exactly the same. The difference is they literally tell you on the ticket, don't arrive more than 20 minutes before your flight.
That's right.
Like it's so good.
It really is good.
So good. So, all right. So we're at Next.
Yes.
There's this prevailing concept. I walked around the show floor today.
Yeah.
And there's this thing I keep seeing absolutely everywhere. And it's just first time I've ever heard it. And it's just, AI. Right.
Never heard of it.
So, right. Other than just kind of the general AI, what brings you to Vegas? What brings you to Next? What's got you excited? What are you guys passionate about?
Yeah, I mean, to your point, we're seeing just an explosion of AI consumption across our customers and the industry in general. And people are really just struggling with how do we consume all this AI, but in a responsible and governed way. And that's what's got me excited. That's what has us at Kong really excited these days. And, I was at the booth for 4 or 5 hours today, just having a number of conversations with customers. And it's just very evident everybody's struggling with this. And, we're passionate and excited about hopefully providing some great products to help customers with that.
How long have you been working with AI?
So at Kong, I started working with AI at Kong. We released an AI platform about 2.5 years ago. We're kind of one of the first AI gateways in the marketplace. And that was kind of my first introduction to AI.
Nice.
Before that, it was all APIs and microservices and container platforms. And we're helping customers with a lot of those problems and issues and cloud and multi-cloud, et cetera. And here comes AI. And we saw the opportunity, release a really good AI gateway and AI governance product. And that's where I first got my introduction into AI. And it's been a wild ride ever since.
I mean, man, you bring up an interesting point. Like we really just kind of got our arms wrapped around API gateways.
That's right.
Right. And for, up until 2022, 2023, maybe we were really having these conversations around what does it mean to secure an API gateway? Why do we need to do that? Why do we need to focus on it? And now all of a sudden we're in AI. For someone who doesn't really understand the difference between how you interact with an API and how you interact with an AI that interacts with an API, right, how would you kind of help them reconcile that or understand the difference?
Ultimately, accessing an LLM is an API call. So what I think really helped us be able to be meaningful in this space very quickly is all of our experience with APIs. And since managing or accessing an LLM is just an API call, we took all of that experience around API management that we've gathered for about a decade and applied it to AI. Now, the big difference is that while accessing an LLM as an API call is a different kind of traffic and a different kind of pattern that we're leveraging those APIs. The traffic is different, it's consumed differently, the governance, the security, the observability around AI, it's very different than a standard API. So for example, when you're accessing an LLM, you probably want telemetry around costs, token costs, request costs, response costs. You're not really getting that kind of data, let's just say, from a standard like API, right? So while the traffic patterns are similar, they're actually very different in terms of the type of traffic, but also the telemetry data that you get from these LLMs and what you need to make meaningful decisions from that.
Sure. I mean, the APIs are still deterministic.
That's right.
Right. AI is very not deterministic.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So the same question twice may have grossly different costs.
Exactly. And, for example, we're seeing with a lot of our customers, the need to audit requests and responses from LLMs and AI, due to some of these AI regulations. We don't quite have that same type of regulation or oversight necessarily on API traffic, let's say, because AI and LLM traffic is undeterministic and don't know what folks are sending and, chatting with chatbots with and things of that nature. So it's a great point. And while a similar traffic pattern is very different from a requirements perspective for a lot of these enterprises.
So you've been doing it for 2.5 years.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Are there changes are there patterns that you're seeing that are new? Are there patterns that you were seeing that are going away? Are you seeing a positive evolution, a negative evolution, something in between, or a little bit of both?
Yeah, kind of a whole of the above. Is that an answer? I don't know. We started with just basic LLM access. Obviously the first one is this proliferation of providers, proliferation of models, the laws and the regulations around that has all evolved. But if you look at it, there's been more connectivity types that now are part of AI. So now we have MCP, right? It's funny. I don't think I heard of the word MCP until like 9 months ago. So
sure.
Now it's just prevailing word around the industry. It's just incredible how quickly this is all moving. And then now the buzzword is obviously agents and agentic systems and things of that nature that, of course, leverage LLMs and APIs and event systems and things of that nature. So now the talk is agents and how do we enable agents and agentic systems to communicate. So just in the last, say, 9 months, we have MCP and then we have, agents. And all of that is just creating an incredible amount of conversation and confusion and challenges for customers. Sure. And, ourselves as we're building solutions to help customers with this ecosystem,
Sure. And let's be specific just for a moment. Yeah, I don't want to get too pedantic, but the term agentic gets thrown around a lot.
Yes.
And generally when we say agentic, what we mean is an AI made a call to an AI, right, to achieve an action. It gave it input along with instructions. The AI received the response from the agent. There is no human in that particular loop.
Right.
By design, right? And then either it calls another agent, does another thing, or responds back to the user, right? So an agent is an AI that is responding to another AI within the context of this, right?
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. The way we try to also describe it is, an agent is an autonomous system that's doing things on behalf of humans, a specific task, for example. And what makes it really interesting is that agent, like humans, need a brain. Right? And the brain is our LLMs, right? So the LLMs, if you think about it this way, are providing agents with the intelligence in the brain to make informed decisions. But that agent can't do anything without data, right? And where does the agent get the data from? It's going to get the data from APIs. Well, how does the agent get the data from APIs? And that's where MCP comes into play. So really, if you want to create an agentic system of any meaningful stature, you're going to have that agent connect to the brain, the LLMs, and do that in a responsible, secure, governed way. And then you're going to have that agent get the right level of context to make decisions based on corporate data or whatever the agent's doing or needs. And that's going to have to be through MCP. So now I got to connect my agents to MCP servers. Then those MCP servers have to connect to APIs, event streams, wherever the data lives, right, that the agent requires. So this is all just extremely complex, right? And this is where a lot of the challenges for our customers, from what we see, are coming from. That taking all this disparate data set and creating a holistic approach that can make their agents useful is extremely challenging for them.
Sure. I mean, especially at the rate of change, right?
Exactly.
Because I think there were 77 new models released this week.
I can't keep track. It's funny, on our company Slack channel, I just keep hearing, Gemini broke their API, changed their API, didn't tell anybody, or, Bedrock made a change which broke something, and then the rate at which all of this is changing, and, change logs and things like that don't seem to be able to keep up. It really is incredible, to your point. It's tough to keep track of.
So what new patterns are you seeing that have you excited? Like, what are you seeing people do, customers do, questions that you're being asked that has you kind of excited and kind of keeps you going, right? Keeps you passionate about the field.
I mean, the concept of agents and agentic systems is definitely something that's really exciting. It's challenging, but the ability to do things autonomously, there's so many challenges to doing that, like correctly, properly, that really does keep me excited. For example, we don't want to let agents just run wild and run autonomous tasks without any control, with any oversight. So, being able to help customers, provide capabilities to customers to be able to do that responsibly is something I'm really excited about.
Are you talking human in the loop? Are you talking third-party tools? Are you talking a mixture of the two?
I think probably the latter, where, if we have humans in the loop of agents, then what's the point of an agent? I would maybe argue a little bit. I would rather maybe say give the agent only the context and the tools that it needs to perform that autonomous task, but nothing else.
Sure.
So I think if we take that approach, we kind of sandbox the agent to just what it needs, the data set it needs, the tools it needs to perform that autonomous task. And then essentially at that point, we can feel better about the agent actually being able to perform the task that we want it to do. And that's the part I'm very excited, hopefully, to help customers with. I started my career on the security space, so everything I worked in IT security at Ford Motor Company coming out of college a long time ago now, but I kind of have that security ingrained, least access privilege, role-based access, making sure people only have access to what they need, et cetera. That's always ingrained in me, and I think to build a proper agentic system, that needs to be a top requirement in order to do that successfully. So
the more days pass that I keep having these conversations, the more I am convinced that is job one. Yeah. Like I actually think the making sure that your permissions are correct in this, what I'm actually calling non-deterministic identity, but that's a different conversation, right? The identity used by the AI, getting that correct, I actually think is the most important thing. There's so much room for enormous failure if we don't get that right. And honestly, like you've been doing this a long time, right? How many organizations have you worked at that had a true handle on no one person in the entire organization ever had more permissions than they needed?
A lot. The permissions are additive. They keep getting added and never get deleted. That's been
even if you started with the best of intentions, right?
100%.
Like so-and-so moved from marketing to sales. Right. How many times do you take away the marketing permissions and they only have sales? It almost never happens. You go, that manager in marketing goes, well, I mean, John's moving over to sales, but I still need John to do some handoff on some things.
That's right.
So for just 4 weeks. And then 4 weeks you come back and they go, well, no, they're not done yet. And eventually you stop asking.
That's right.
Right? So it just never gets cleaned up 100% of the time. I mean, hell, I'm still reading stories of people that don't have even decent offboarding processes, much less transfers inside the company.
Right. Yeah. And then if you think about the fact that we can't do this for humans, right? Finite number of people, let's just say. Now you're going to do this. How do you do this for agents? And these agents are just scaling at an incredible rate, right? So, how do you do this effectively at scale for something that is functioning autonomously? And these different teams are maybe independently in a federated way, deploying more and more agents to do more and more things. How do you get control and visibility over that? I mean, it's a significant challenge. I think we have to your point, I think that's sort of job zero, and then kind of go from there in terms of building agents responsibly.
Yeah. Have you had a customer like maybe surprise you in how they did something, good or bad, doesn't really matter, where you were like, oh, that's really smart, I'm stealing that, that's going in my playbook?
I don't know if I've had that necessarily, because it's they're just starting off, right? A lot of these projects are, either proof of concepts or maybe one or two things trying to get to production, from an AI or agentic perspective. What's been the most surprising is the number of customers that have tried to get things into production, but for example, aren't attributing things like cost. There's no cost control. There's no governance. So they deploy these early sort of agentic or AI-based systems, and then they come back after the fact, oh my God, it costs a lot more than we thought, or we ran out of budget. And they come to, Kong, for example, and say, can you help me with this? I can't tell you how many conversations I had at the booth about, can you help me with cost attribution? Can you help me understand, which agents or, which departments or which consumers are consuming how much of what? So what's been really surprising is the fact that these things have been allowed to sort of get deployed and go into production, and that people are surprised about the cost or lack of governance and oversight, and are now having to sort of, take a step back essentially and try to address some of these things.
So how does Kong help with that?
A couple different ways. So because we are at the infrastructure layer and all traffic flows through Kong, we have full observability of all the traffic that agentic systems use, in addition to any API usage. So essentially, because all traffic flows through, we get full visibility and then are able to report on that. So we can say how many tokens have been consumed, how many MCP calls have been made, how many API calls, and we can attribute those to specific agents, specific consumers, specific departments, and help customers meter and potentially even bill an invoice based on that usage. This is one of the sort of big reasons we believe the sort of AI governance sort of belongs at the infrastructure layer. Kind of the analogy I use is like tolls on the road.
Sure.
Like you don't have a toll, like everyone doesn't have a toll at their house. The toll is on the highway, right? As traffic passes, right? You get proper security governance there. It's similar analogy to what we're doing from an API and AI perspective.
That's interesting. I'm just thinking about I've got an AI tool that we're getting ready to roll out, and I built all of that into the tool so I can see the exact cost. Every the system and each stage has limits for per day, per week, per month. I couldn't imagine rolling out without it.
Yeah, and in your case, maybe it's one system or two, and maybe that's okay to.
Sure. That's not. I'm not justifying. I'm just more surprised that anyone would consider rolling out even one system without it. Right? Because cost overrun is it's terrifying.
I literally been on 3 calls this week where with 3 large financial services organizations where they have a top level initiative to do cost attribution and being able to, at the very least, charge back. Like Department A, this is how much you're consuming from AI. They can't even do that.
Do they do that with everything else? Like, forget about AI. Do they do that with all their storage and everything now? Do you know?
They do. I mean, I think those systems have been around for a little bit.
They have.
And
the number of companies I've seen successfully roll that out and actually get that right have been rounds to zero.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think the problem with the AI is that I guess you sort of know how much storage you need this year or may need potentially, right? I think with AI, people just don't know. So they're kind of turning on the faucet and just letting things run, and then they're just surprised at how much water has been consumed or tokens have been consumed in this case, and then have to be like, oh my God, I got to turn the water off now. How do we do that? Or how do we actually distribute this spend responsibly across the different departments? I think that's been the most surprising thing for these customers. But literally, I don't know why. Maybe it's this week or three large financials just not able to attribute cost on AI usage to specific departments and consumers purely to charge back, not even to do anything beyond that. They're not at the point where they want to control the cost. That's kind of step 2,
right?
But it's one of those things that you can't limit what you can see, right? So step 1 is seeing usage, seeing consumption. They don't have that visibility. They're looking at Kong to help with that. And then step 2, which we can also help with, is then limit the usage,
right?
Quotas and all of that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So, that's a big one. It really, what I love about these is I'm always surprised by something both good and bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I had someone the other day tell me that they were told by a customer that everyone has admin access by design.
Okay.
Yeah. And I went, no, that's not design. That's laziness.
That's right. Yeah.
You're designing for failure. I'm unsure how you would call that a design, right? Yeah. The bridge fell down by design.
Right.
No, it did not. It just fell down because you didn't design it properly.
Didn't do it right.
Everyone has admin access by design. No. Everyone has admin access because you didn't design. Right. So I'm constantly finding things that I'm surprised about, and
that is an interesting one.
It is an interesting one, right? And we're all in fairness, we're all trying to figure this stuff out, not even in real time.
Yeah.
Right. And it really doesn't matter who you are. You're getting pressured to leverage these tools. So if you could give leaders one or two pieces of advice where you're like, hey, long before you call a vendor or bring somebody in, or even if you're preparing to call a vendor, what are one or two things they can do to kind of better prepare for this inevitability?
I think something I see customers struggle with is even communicating what is it that they want out of AI and how it helps the business and the bottom line for that business. I've asked this question basically to every customer, like, hey, can you give me use cases for agentic systems in your enterprise, and what is the impact that you expect from these systems to your business and the bottom line? And I never get a good answer. I don't get, oh, we're going to improve productivity by this percentage. We expect to ship products faster. We expect to, save costs. So my advice would be just to really hone in on what are the expected metrics that we can deliver to the business if we go down this route of automation and agentic systems and AI and whatnot, and just have that be measurable. And then everything that you do, be able to tie it back to those metrics. Because we're seeing all the spend, but I don't think, at least yet, we're necessarily seeing the return on that investment, or at least able to measure out or project what that return will be. And I think just having clarity there, I mean, obviously this is all changing very quickly and maybe not going to nail it, but having at least some parameters that we're working with would be, I think, a really good suggestion, because right now I'm not getting great answers as I ask these questions.
I mean, it'd be scientific, right? Before we do an experiment,
that's right.
We have a hypothesis.
There it is. Yeah.
Then we use an experiment to test the hypothesis.
What a concept, right?
Right. Which means develop a hypothesis. I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
This is what I expect to see as a return.
Right.
This is how I'm going to measure and test my hypothesis.
Right.
If you just did those three things, I agree. I think customers would be infinitely better. Also, it's a great framework to make a decision on.
Yes.
Because if you haven't done that, how are you deciding to put that thing into production? There's got to be 1,000 opportunities.
Yes.
Right. Awesome. Well, this has been a ton of fun. So,
good. How
do people learn more about Kong, and how do people get a hold of you?
Yeah, so pretty easy to reach. It's just Fel, F-E-L, at konghq.com. So I've been at Kong long enough where I, have a very short email address. So you can reach me there. Obviously can be reached through our website and social channels and all of that good stuff. But we're pretty easy to get a hold of. We're really responsive and, really looking forward to really helping customers with this emerging space, or even our traditional business to help modernize API landscapes for people. So we're happy to help in any way we can.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point, right? The API landscape does not go away just because we're talking about AI, and AI's all like MCPs are definitions around APIs to help AI understand how to use an API. Like, the API didn't go away. API didn't disappear.
Yes.
Right? MCP is nothing more than instructions that humans and AI can both read and understand to know how to use and leverage an API.
Yeah, and if I may, I think I think that's super important if I can elaborate, because as our CEO Augie says, there's no AI without APIs. And if you don't have a good handle on your API management strategy, how do you provide AI the necessary context to make AI useful?
For sure.
If you're managing APIs in 4 or 5 different ways, for example, with different access and governance standards and observability and all of that, how do you expect then AI to consume disparate systems, right? It's really hard. So in fact, what we're seeing is that that in order to do AI right, you need to get your API strategy right? And the nice thing with Kong is we're helping customers do both of those.
That's awesome. Well,
okay.
This has been another episode of Business Disruptions in Tech. Please like, subscribe, follow, share, and we'll see you in our next episode.